After you have left a narcissist, there will come days where you just live, and that's enough. It's a victory to just get through the day. I stayed with my narcissistic ex-husband until I couldn't take it another day, and then I left. That also means that my energy was depleted, and I left without a clear plan. I had been trauma bonded to him and traumatized, so I left with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and uncertainty of the future, as well as the threat that he would come after me, which he did. But even after having lived through the worst of it and getting to safety, there are days where it is just enough to get through the day. And that's a lesson I've had to learn, and I want to remind you of that in this video. If you're having such a day today. There were days in the relationship as well where you just struggled to get through the day. I'm sure you had such days. But because he was there was always the threat of things getting worse. So there was always this chaos lurking in the background, or reason for adrenaline spikes that could keep you going. And sometimes having such a day where you just were numb and trying to get through the day was a relief in that situation. So trying to live through the days when you're in the relationship, you're in survival mode, but out of the relationship, you are now in safety. You are depending on yourself. There is not the threat of him imploding. And it feels different than being in the relationship. And also, we come under this pressure that, well, we have left, and why don't we have things together? Why am I not healing? Why is it taking so long? Why am I so tired? And it's easy to feel shame or blame yourself for not having everything in perfect order. But that way of viewing things doesn't take into account all the years of struggle and all the days, nights of grieving and worrying, and him trying to sabotage you, and the real struggle that it took to break free. Sometimes we need to have compassion on ourselves, and I'm guilty of this as well, forgetting to have compassion on myself and forgetting how far I've come and how hard the struggle was, and just zooming in on the things I have not yet accomplished, or like counting the balls that I have dropped, but not the important ones that I'm still keeping afloat. Sometimes living through the day and not getting anything done, and perhaps spending a day in bed or more than one day, and leaving the dishes and not having everything under control. That's perfectly fine, and it's a victory. And perhaps the next day you will be able to get up of bed and make a cup of tea and make a note in your diary that another day has passed. Some tools that I find helpful during such days are, I like to knit, but perhaps you have something that you like to do, or something that you like to do when you were younger. Paint, walk. If you have a trusted friend, talk to them for a while. Sometimes it takes a small effort to pick the thing up that could help you. Try to be kind to yourself and remember that you're one of the good persons. And you're doing this perhaps not only for yourself, but you're choosing to walk away from toxicity to create a different future for your kids or for other loved ones. Or sometimes things are so bad that you just need to get out to save yourself. And sometimes there are no perfect choices. In some situations, there are no perfect choices. So there is no perfect solution. No matter what you choose, there are negative consequences. And I'm sure that you chose the best choice that you could make with the energy and the resources and the abilities that you had available at that moment. And I'm sure that you are still doing that. Even if your body is now forcing you to rest, or if you're grieving, perhaps after a lifetime of overachieving and being there for everyone else. Even if you're doing this for a year, if that means that it's like if you are writing a story and then you stop because the story that you're writing is becoming a horror story, and then you just stop there and you hold the pen in one point, even though that means that there is perhaps color going from the tip of the pen and like spreading out on the paper. That might be a better choice than to keep writing. And then slowly, because you're a living thing, you're not a pen that gets depleted when like you are able to fill up yourself with life and with energy, and slowly get back to functioning and in another way, in a more compassionate way, that also takes into account that you are human, and that's okay. And just leave that page there with a plump is okay. and slowly begin to write a different story. So some days we just survive. And some days we do something small. But that might be the start of something different and something good. Thank you for listening in. I'm Emma, holding up a light over the bridge. Remember, there is always a way out. There is always a way forward. Please be safe, take care, and have a great day.